Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to this week's card. Today I have a pretty clean and simple holiday card for you. I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Deco Trees die set and some green apple cardstock. I love this green. It's made by Simon Says Stamp and it's pretty thick. So I'm going to start with my Nina Solar White cardstock, which is cut to 5.5 by 3.5. And I'm actually going to mark the center first. And I've cut a tree already. I've die cut that tree. And I'm going to use that piece kind of as a placeholder. So I'm going to center it on my pencil mark, and then I'll take my die and put it right next to it. Now these dies are very intricate. There's a lot of swirly. So I've got these two mylar shims, and I'll have a link in my blog, and that'll put just enough pressure, extra pressure, to really make the cut totally clean, and so it's really easy to pop out of the cardstock. Now I'm going to get my placeholder again, put it back on my pencil mark, and then I'll put a tree on the other side now. And then I'll put my shim on there and run it through the Sizzix. Now these dies, as I said, are really detailed and intricate, and the swirlies are pretty complicated. So it does take a little bit of time to pull these out, but I think as you get used to it, it would get easier. So if you're planning on making this as like a repeatable card that you're going to make a lot of, I think you could get the hang of it pretty easily. But that's what just makes it so pretty, is how detailed it is. Alright, so now that I've got those two out, I'm going to go ahead and cut my sentiment, which also comes with this die set. And I'm going to cut it out of black, and I was thinking about doing some sparkly on it, but then I decided to just leave it plain. Anyway, I used my shim again, and so the die cut came, the cardstock came right out of the die. So now I'm going to cut the trunks here because I want to have it open on the bottom. And I could have laid my die over the cardstock when I ran it through the machine, but then I wanted to make sure that the trunk was going to be long enough. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is adhere some Doodlebug beetle twine. I use this black and white twine all the time, and I'm just going to put some adhesive on the back and wrap it around. Alright, now I'm going to set that off and start working on my sequins. Now I've got this big giant pack of sequins by Simon Says Stamp, and there's so many in here, I don't even know how many, but I'll never use all these sequins. There's just so many. And they come in all different sizes, so I'm going to pull out, I'm using my pick-me-up stick, and it comes with a plastic, the plastic side just has a sharp tip and a chisel tip. So I'm using the sharp tip to pull out the sequins that I'm going to use. So I pulled 5 out, and I'm going to color them with a Copic marker. This is YG03, which I thought matched pretty well with my green apple cardstock. And I'm just holding them in place with the pick-me-up stick. Now I'm going to set those aside to dry. And now I'm going to start drawing some lines here. This is a Copic multi-liner. It's a 0.3. And I'm just going to use a ruler to have some just nice clean lines on the edge. And I like how this sort of frames it. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is adhere this to my green apple cardstock. So I'm going to put a bunch of foam adhesive. I'm going to pick this up and show you that I cut some of these pieces to be small so that I could have them on each side of the trunk to make sure that they popped up off the card. So I'm going to remove the backing and place it on my green apple cardstock. And I've got about 3/8 of an inch at the top and the bottom. And I just lay it down very gently, barely touching the cardstock. And once I've got it into place, then I press it down. Now I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to my card base, 4¼ by 5.5. Alright, now I'm going to make a bow. I usually just kind of take the end of the thread, I make my bow, and then I cut it, and then I take a glue dot, and I'll roll it in between my fingers so that it's a ball, and then I'll place it where I want my bow to be, and then I'll smush my bow right on there. And it does not move. It's great. I love this technique. Alright, now I'm going to adhere my sentiment. I'm using the multi-matte medium, or multi-medium matte. I always get it confused what order those words go in. Anyway, I'm going to squirt some out on my craft mat here. And the reason why I'm using this adhesive is because it has a matte finish. Most glue most glues have a glossy finish, and I didn't want you to be able to see the glue that I used to put this down. So I'm just tapping my finger very lightly into the glue and then tapping it on my sentiment because you really don't need much. This glue is extremely strong. So just a lot of tapping. You can see how strong it is. It's actually sticking to my left finger. Alright, then I'm just going to place that on my card. And then I'll do the same thing with the Mary. And then pull out the dog hair. Alright, next I'm going to put my sequins on. Now I'm using my pick-me-up stick again. This is the plastic tip, the fine tip, and I like to put the glue on the cardstock and then put the sequin on top of it. So once I get the glue on there, I can pick up the sequin with the sticky part of the pick-me-up and use the chisel tip, because there's two tips to that plastic piece, to press it down into my cardstock. And you can move it around, you know, for a couple seconds or whatever, but if you press down really hard, it'll stick there. So here I go with my fine tip. I'm just going to kind of scoop up a little bit of glue and put it there on my cardstock, and then place my sequin on top of it. So I'm going to do this with all 5 of my sequins. And then finally I'm going to add the dot to my eye in the word Christmas. And that's it. So it's a pretty easy card, not too many steps, and I think it looks kind of nice and clean and contemporary. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.